I'll pull up Facebook once you go
Here
live.
we are. Hello, Soulfire.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Chronicles of Chiron, the Lion, the Witch, and the Healer. My name is Christopher, the Astro Medium.
I'm
Jessica.
Jessica Tanselle, psychic medium, spiritual teacher, and healer. And we are so excited to be here together tonight. We are just getting ready, getting caught up. Here we are.
Absolutely. I'm very excited to be here. How are you?
I'm doing really great. I've had all these synchronicities line up. Life feels good. And also,
Good.
I'm just letting spirit lead. I'm like, okay, show me the way. Things feel good. How about
Very good.
you?
Everything feels like that for me too. I mean, I'm having a lot of ascension symptoms right now, sudden cold and flu symptoms that come on and then go away, and a lot of digestive shit going on, no pun intended. Just crazy digestive stuff going on right now. And definitely lower energy. And it doesn't feel bad. It just feels like I feel like I want to relax more. And that's all this Pisces energy that we're sitting in right now. And a lot of what has happened in the past year, the results of that is finally coming up. So a lot of what we're feeling is just physical stuff rather than that emotional and mental turmoil, or that really being in the trauma that's trying to release, or being in the emotion that's coming up. It's more the physical body going, okay, you've done so much work. I now have to catch up with you. And also the certain times astrologically that are going on. How's this affecting you?
Well, I noticed my gut this week quite a bit, like just aware of it. It's not like I had anything wrong. I just was very aware of it. So, but I also have seen that with a couple other people. So when you said that, I was like, of course that's what's showing up. But
Yes.
also, you said something about Pisces, and I was like, oh, you're feeling tired, because I was like, and let me do this, and let me do this, and let me get this done. I have a Pisces
Moon.
moon. And
Yes.
so I wonder.
Yes.
Anyway, again, I have had more energy.
Well, and yes, for some that will come from, I don't want to go too much into detail now, but that's going to come more from your Mars sign as well, and what planets right now are making aspects to you. And having a moon in Pisces right now, you're about to experience a new moon in Pisces at the end of this week. So there's a lot of Pisces energy right now. The sun is about to make a conjunction to Neptune, and that will bring some people's energy down. But if you are doing work in psychic, spiritual, or mystic ways, it actually enlivens or gives you more energy. The more physical work you're doing down here on the ground, the worrying, the physical stuff, the responsibilities, getting from point A to point B, may not be as strong, or it has as much a hold on you. But if you are psychically connected and constantly connecting to your higher self, you're going to hook up to an even more pure stream of energy that's coming in to support you during that time. So you're just fueling off of that. And
New
so am I.
moon in Pisces this weekend. This is our retreat weekend, and when I found
Oh,
out,
yes. Tell me about that.
well, I mean, it's beautiful. I've actually got henna and a henna artist coming. Jessie K is coming. Paige is bringing yoni steams on the day of the new moon,
Perfect.
and then we'll have our new moon. We're there Friday and Saturday, but that new moon coming
Well,
in
this new moon
Pisces.
in Pisces, this is very strong for you, but this is just very strong for everyone, because what's really interesting is that right around that time that the sun and the moon are going to make a conjunction, Neptune is also in his ruling sign of Pisces, making a conjunction to the sun. And then on the very day of the new moon in Pisces, Venus and Neptune will conjoin. And this happens about once a year. And that's going to be extremely heart opening. It increases empathy, connection, oneness, unity, consciousness. And then Pallas, the asteroid, has now entered Pisces and will be there for another year. So we will experience another superstellium. So we had our superstellium in Aquarius around the new moon in Aquarius on the 11th of February. And now we're going to experience a pretty superstellium in Pisces as well. And so Chiron's sitting over here still in Aries. So let's talk about Chiron a little bit. Chiron is preparing to meet with Mars in a sextile, and he's receiving that sextile from Saturn as well the whole year. So now is about doing the work and getting more structured, getting more disciplined about the work you do. And what we mean by work would be your healing work, your work that you put into waking up, bettering yourself. Those all sound really mundane. This is a very spiritual process, but also very awakening as well. So there's a lot of that being supported for us at this time.
Which is really appropriate because tonight we're working on talking about, actually, we're talking about psychic versus mediumship, which is actually
Yes,
a common question I get.
it is a common question. And so part of this Saturn sextile conversation is deliberating. Saturn wants you to take things and take it to the chopping block. Which one has to go? Which one's more efficient? Which one's better for you? So what we're going to talk about tonight is a question we both get asked a lot, and we know how to answer both because we technically are psychic mediums. And there's a lot of misconstrued information out there about being a psychic or a medium, or are you both, and that sort of thing. Because I've often heard that all mediums are psychic, but not all psychics are mediums, which I believe that to a certain extent. And I want to talk about that.
That's a great place to start, because I think when I began, I even believed that, but I actually feel like we all have the capability to tune into all of this. It's different for everybody.
I guess you could say it's kind of like we all have the ability to sing.
Yes. Well, yeah, totally. Just like that. We all have the ability to tune into our loved ones. We all have the ability to read the energy in a room. Like if you walk into a room and you can sense or see, or if the energy's wonky.
Well, I do have to say, I do know people who would not know what you are talking about.
Sure. Totally, because
and what I mean by that is that they feel like they've never walked into a room and felt beyond their five senses. And you and I don't know what that's like because we've done it our entire life and we thought everyone did it that way.
Everybody does not. Everybody does not see. And that's the first thing about the psychic is you're sensing about the person. If I'm psychically reading Chrystopher, I'm tuning into his energy. I am reading his energy. When I say reading energy, I might know something. I might feel something. So
these are your clair senses will kick in.
Not everybody knows all of the clairs, and I love teaching the clairs, but your psychic senses come differently. But we all have the ability to tune into the collective. So we all have that ability to do it. It doesn't mean we're all mediums. It doesn't mean we're all psychic, but we all have the ability to open up to that.
I agree with that, yes. Now, from my understanding as well, the psychic phenomena has been more scientifically researched, and it has been more scientifically validated and substantiated through work with secret agents in military complexes and work with scientists who can do double-blind studies and with astral projection what's the other one where you draw a picture and I can see the picture? Because I'm really good at that. I'm good at remote viewing. Remote viewing is one, and also telepathy, because like if you're looking at something, my little brother can do it too. So my little brother sometimes will be talking and he'll say, oh, it looks like this, and it'll be something I'm looking at. And I do that with people in readings, like I'll say things. So those are definitely psychic abilities where the information is innate and it is within you. It's coming from your senses, from your perception, your radar. Mediumship, on the other hand, is you actually receiving information from an outside source or a separate entity.
What I would call, typically for mediumship, you're connecting with spirit, you're connecting with someone in the spirit world, you were connecting with a loved one.
Or even a higher consciousness. You could say that channels are.
I would call that a channel, but I don't call that mediumship.
Mediumship. Oh, I see. Some people would say that that's mediumship because it doesn't matter how, if they were in the physical body at one time or not. If you are
channel, but it is, when we talk mediumship, when you find mediumship out and about, you're going to find that mediumship is connecting to a loved one in spirit.
Yes. Who
However,
was once in a physical body.
yes. Do I connect to guides, angels, and all of that? I do. And a medium really is a medium between two sources, so it can be the channel. But mediumship.
Yes. But we identify it differently, yeah.
Right. When you go see a medium, you should be expecting
Yes.
to connect to a loved one in spirit.
Yes.
Because that's where now that's evidential mediumship. That does not mean
Right.
like
Which
I'm
is
a
what we
channel,
do.
so I connect to higher dimensional beings often. I channel high dimensional information. I do that in a channeling group at Sacred Journeys even. But when I do, if somebody comes to me and they say want a medium reading, I'm going to give them evidence of their loved one. I feel like that's the most important piece, actually, of mediumship. Other mediums might not say that, and that's okay. But I feel like that's important because I could say, Chris, your grandma's here. She's so sweet. She says she loves you and she wants to give you a cookie. And you tell me that's a bunch of bullshit because she's a feisty bitch,
Yeah, exactly.
So the evidence is important. Whereas
Yes,
if you're a medium and you're channeling a higher dimensional being, there's no evidence in that.
It's just information that helps you to find resonance or to move you in the direction of your highest version of yourself. Totally. That's what that information would even come through for.
And I love that information. I channel that information. So I'm with you on that.
Well, and for me, when I do my readings, like when I first started doing all this, I didn't even want to call myself psychic medium because it all just felt like one thing that was happening. Sometimes I knew I was getting information from something. And then other times I'm like, it's just something I know. It's something I'm picking up on. It's an instant knowing, feeling, whatever. That may not be coming from them like I'm being spoon-fed it. So, but if we're going to differentiate those things, psychic abilities and mediumship are a different thing. But I do believe that the mediumship comes through the psychic abilities. So not that it's a higher ability, it's a branch off of the being psychic.
It is a different ability in how you tune into it. You and I both work in mediumship, and we work in tandem with our spiritual reading, our psychic and our mediumship. We both do. It's like this flow of info because we both work very similar. And
yes, we do.
Information is so clear. And when you connect to spirit, your mediumship is so clear. Like
who, mine?
Yes, yours. Like we are both mediums, and we're both different. We pull through different information.
Yours has been that way too, though. Right? Yes. So.
Yes, but what I'm saying is, it's cool. Like there's not a wrong way. There's not a wrong way, and I will tell you, I've learned with many teachers across the world, and they will tell you often, like, hey, do your psychic first and then do your mediumship. Mine does blend quite a bit.
Yes, for sure.
But the reason they teach that, and the reason I will teach that, is because when you're in your psychic, you're in one energy.
Oh, see, I never differentiate it that way.
When you shift to the spirit world, it's not a higher or a better thing. It is a shift into a light trance, and you're actually.
Yes, I do that. I do that now that you say that.
It's a blend with the spirit world. Sometimes
I'm just telling them thoughts that are coming to my mind. And other times it's almost like you're reading off a teleprompter.
Yes.
You just you get in the flow and you just let the words come out. And it doesn't always happen like that in my readings, but quite a few times. I think if they have a higher guide, or if they have some people come for readings and their reading might be, or their intention might be somewhat shallow. And I hate to say that, but they might not be expecting or needing a lot. But I have been in readings with people who really were looking for something, seeking something, or even if it was impromptu, which does happen sometimes. I'll be in the grocery store. No, I'm although I have, yes, like quite a few times. Just it's stupid, and I'm like, oh my god, I think I'm Teresa Caputo. But where that'll happen, and the information just is like,
that's so interesting.
I have to get out of the way, but it does not always like that.
It's so interesting to hear you say that, because when I teach, I tell people, do not do that in the grocery store, because you have not gotten permission. It's like you're
You're
just,
right. You're right.
so they don't know you're a medium. They might think you're crazy.
Now,
So if
I
that
never have gone up to somebody who was just standing there. I was in a conversation with them or something. That's how it
happens,
usually comes up.
I
I
just
don't
want to
usually
clarify.
have spirits bothering me all the time.
I don't either.
There's stimulus happening. I can definitely feel things, and there's things that are happening, and I'm aware of something. But usually, if I'm talking to somebody, things will start getting in my way, and I'll know, okay, something is trying to connect here. And they're allowing it because they're connecting to me already through this
Because
conversation, which is why it's
already
coming
in
through more.
conversation.
Yeah,
Totally.
I get it.
And that happens to me all the time too. What I've started to notice in my readings recently, my voice, they'll take my voice and I'll change accents mid. And so
Interesting.
it
Cool.
is very interesting. And the other day I had somebody come in and I looked at her, her name even was familiar. And I said, "You look like a whole nother person." It wasn't until the end of the reading that I realized spirit took over immediately, brought, because she was a completely different person. I'd never met her before.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
I love the difference in ours because even though we work similar, we do things differently.
Yeah,
And
we do. Yeah, I
but
talk,
really, just it's the
So
same. We're
that's why I want people to really nail down, like, what are you looking for? Are you looking for a psychic, or are you looking for a medium? Because I do feel that a medium, although I have been around mediums who were simply just evidential, and they weren't extremely, like Jamie Butler. I absolutely adore her, look up to her. She is incredible medium and channel. She can channel, okay? She can go to sleep and let them take over her whole body, okay? But she's not telepathic. She's not super psychic. So when you're in a reading with her, she'll tell you what they're giving you, but she can't like tune to your body, know where you have pain, hear what you're thinking, so know where to take the reading. I can know where to take the reading based on just feelings. Although she is an empath, she's just not as psychic as some. And then I have met people who are extremely psychic, know things, get things, feel things, and they just have no connection to spirit information.
totally, totally. And when a lot of the people that I've worked with, they focus on that evidence, and where I have gotten a
Which
blend,
I do
mine,
too, yes.
mine have this natural blend like yours do, but most will tell you, do the evidence, bring through the evidence. It's not supposed to be about, like, it's not about, well, they want to tell you, or you should, or you this. Whereas in a spiritual or a psychic reading, we're like, listen, they want you to pay attention to this coming up. They want to talk
Which
about
is,
your work.
yes, very
Whereas
good.
spirit, they want to talk about memories, items, ways. So you're like, oh, they're right here with me.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
I just was looking at that picture, or oh, I do have that item. Oh, I remember that memory.
Yes. They just want you to know that they're with you. And a lot of times I am pulling in a lot of information about what they want the person to do, or kind of giving me ideas. But a lot of that is coming from just instant knowing what they're wanting. Like showing me
Yeah.
a box with money in it, and just immediately they're wanting you to find something, okay? Or wanting to validate that you're supposed to have that money,
Yeah.
okay? And that
Totally.
it's
I love
probably
that.
physical money, and it is somewhere, you know?
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff, where they don't have to sit there and go, I want them to, because they're just kind of answering the questions that that person has always had in the least stressful way.
Totally. I agree with you completely on that, because that's how it happens in mine as well.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Yes.
And it's very interesting with mediumship because, and you and I know we work similar, that you give us a name, we can find it. It'll be
Yeah,
complete.
exactly. If somebody says someone's name, I can go looking for them. And about 90% of the time, I'll find them. And if don't,
However,
yeah, go ahead.
in mediumship, when you come get a mediumship reading, what I will tell you is spirit has their own agenda. Who they want to come forward is who's going to come forward. It's not that they don't love you. It's
Right.
not because my mom and dad don't want to be first. It's because these people have an agenda. Spirit, they're the ones that lead. When I'm a medium, I serve spirit. You may be sitting with me and paying me, but I'm here to serve what spirit needs to give to you.
Good way to look at it.
And they want to give you what you want and you need, but there's something here they want for you.
And sometimes you're looking for answers that would stop you from doing something you're supposed to do.
Totally.
So I do notice that, like if I go looking for them in a reading, because sometimes I can feel that they want it. And so I'll go looking for them instead of just letting them come in. And there will be people there. It may not be that meaningful, but they'll be there and it'll be spot on. But they may just not have anything to say or really have a message.
Totally. And you know how you said too, like it's like some are more clear, you're communicating with a higher guide. Usually they're not always, but some people get a main communicator who, so like my dad can be like, well, here's grandpa and
Oh
here's
my God, yes, that's exactly what happens for me.
you get a
Oh
main.
my God, yes. Like the grandmother, and I'll tell them, they will tell me I'm going to be the one communicating. And they'll tell me in a really weird way based on their personality. It changes every time, but I'll let the person, what do you call it? The sitter? I let the sitter know. Look at us. Arthur Findlay, here we come.
Yeah, that's my verbiage.
Yes, exactly. I let the sitter know, hey, she's going to be doing all the talking for her husband and the
Aunt and the
stepdaughter and the aunt. And yes,
and
she's
the
going to do
baby.
all the talking. They all have a common message, just like when they blend together.
They all
It's like
come
when they
together.
come in and they go, you could be describing both of my grandpapa. And I'm like, are both of your grandfathers dead? Yes. And I'm like, okay, they're probably both coming in at the same time. And I says, split your energy.
That's what I do.
Yeah. I'm just like, okay, because it makes me sound like, oh yeah, he's black and he has red hair. And they're just like, I don't think that is how that's working. So I'm like, get over here. And I'm like, oh, your Irish granddaddy and your African granddaddy, they are both here. Okay. That has happened to me. And I'm like, oh, duh, they're two different people. And then you get this total like, whoa, you're this way and you're that way. And you just go into all of that from there. But so if people are looking for that, to feel that like comfort, that sense of like, I want to know they're with me. That's definitely mediumship, but there are benefits to just seeing a psychic as well, because a lot of my astrological work can be looked as psychic work, even just like tarot cards. I know a lot of tarot readers that are not very psychic. Very, they might be intuitive. So like when they see certain cards, they're led to say a certain response without allowing it to help them tune in. Like I have had some card readings with people who were just reading the cards,
Wow.
because the cards have their own, something's up with those tarot cards. I've had some people who they were not on our level. I'm sorry, they were not on our level psychically, or they weren't awakened to it yet. They weren't using it properly. We're doing these readings with these tarot cards in these classes I've been in, and I'm me going, that's some good shit right there. And they're like, and the teacher's like, the cards, no. So there's benefits to even going to astrologers and tarot readers who are called psychics, even if they're not really in tune or giving you information, because I can give information about people's lives that are not necessarily mediumship. It's just I can pick up on that this is happening in your energy field. That's part of being an empath and a psychic,
Well, and again, we all
which
have
we
different
both are.
ways that we learn, different ways that we get our information, and also different levels of trusting ourselves. Because something that this taught me was how to trust myself. And if you aren't able to trust yourself, it's harder to get your channel open. So
Yes,
so I
very.
think it's different levels, but I agree completely. I would say if you're gonna get a medium reading, you want to have people that you're looking to connect with in spirit. If you don't have anybody in spirit, you don't need to see a medium.
But wouldn't you say that a
But
medium is kind of an all-stop shop?
for me, it is. For me, you're going to come see me typically for a spiritual and a medium reading. I do aura drawings and readings, like it's like your own tarot card. So, however, people ask me all the time, do I need a spiritual reading or a medium reading? The spiritual reading is going to be all about you. I'm going to tell you all about you. We're going to talk about what's going on, what's come up in the past, what's coming up in the future, because that's the potential of where you're going if that's what you choose. But a medium, if you're scheduling a medium reading, you want to have a medium out to do group sessions,
Yeah.
could be bringing through spirit.
Yeah, and that way this is what I do going in. And see, I don't do that. I just let whatever happens happens, which that would be good to go in knowing, okay, because sometimes I do pull in people and the person across from me is like I love my grandma comes through in all of my readings, tell her hi. They're just not enthused by it whatsoever. And so I'm like, okay, that's not why you're here. That's okay. We're tuning in to see what we got here though.
But honestly, whether they schedule a spiritual reading or a medium reading, like they're
You're
going
going to give them very, yeah, I got you.
to,
You just know what the intention is going in, and that's good. Yeah.
well, they usually want to set their intention too.
Yes.
And honestly, I might not even today I had somebody and they were in for a spiritual reading, but actually what I was told they were there for spiritual mediumship. So I do the same you do it. Like it will
Yeah.
flow. If I do a tarot reading and spirit comes in, you better believe I'm gonna bring them in.
Yes, that's how I used to do it when I first started out in tarot. Was like sometimes I would just stop looking at the cards after a while and it just got me in there at first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love using cards. They're a great guide, but I think people get confused because I never look at them.
I never looked at them either.
I
It was
do
almost
actually
like
look at plants, but then it's like,
it made me feel good about like, okay, if nothing happens, at least I can just say what the cards mean. And that allowed me at first to get used to having someone across from me like that. And then once you start trusting yourself, it's like, woo.
different for everybody. Those cards are a great guide, but I don't have to have them to do
Right.
it.
Right. Just like I don't, there
Psychic.
are some readings I have where I never even touch the astrology chart. I can tell they're not interested in it, or we finally get to our time and we just never got to it. A lot of my readings are that way because I try to fit it in some way, maybe in the last 15 minutes or something like that. But it's to tie in everything. And I promise you, this astrology shit is crazy. I'll literally be talking about things in my reading and I'm like, okay, now we want to go to your chart and see if we can find it. And then we're literally finding transits and things in the chart that literally mean this is the big change they were just talking about. So you're just constantly validating
I
that, okay, I got it here. Now let's go here and validate it
yeah.
even more. Because a lot of what I tell them is like things that have not happened yet or future potentials. And for some people, it's just like, I really hope that happens. But then when you find it here, it's like, look, it's programmed in here. You're supposed to be going through this right now. You're supposed to feel lost and confused right now. And that way it feels like I can give myself permission, not only is spirit saying I'm okay, but like, oh, this is a cycle I'm supposed to move through. So there's a higher purpose. I'm down with it. I can leave here knowing that I'm going to be okay.
Totally.
Ooh, which we need sometimes.
I love the way our readings flow, just the
Yes.
confirmation. And I love that you have the astrology piece to validate. That's a
And I
beautiful.
love that you have the ability to, because I know sometimes you probably are healing people in your readings. It's probably like, okay, we're being called to do this. I'm sure it's not like you didn't book with me for that, so I'm not going to do what Spirit's telling me to do. It's kind of like we're in business, but we also respect Spirit and we also love what we do. So if it's being guided there and it feels effortless and it feels right, we're going to do it.
It's just it's so fun, and the spiritual readings, just connecting with people, like a psychic reading, when I'm telling people like this is coming up, this is what's looking like it might happen. In the spiritual part of it, I often pull through like what's going to get them on the path that they want to be on.
Yes. And what traumas and what memories and things. I love it when I'm just being shown trauma after trauma after trauma. And I'm like, sometimes I'm just like, okay, I need to stop looking for what's wrong in their energy field. But I also realize I'm being shown those things and I'm finding those things. Here's where you can start digging.
Yes.
In your journey.
Surprise for some people when I start talking about that.
Yeah.
They're like, I didn't come for that at all. I'm like, okay.
Exactly. And I had a girl the other day, she was like, I don't even really want to talk about that. And got
No,
kind of defensive with me. And I said, I'm just telling you what they're telling me. Because I think some of my readings I do ask, is it okay that I invade your privacy? And 98% of them will be like, Please, they're there for that. They're there to be read raw. Okay, they're there to be raked up and down over the coals with spirit. And that's how I wanted. I wanted to go into a reading, just
Yes.
blow me open, just annihilate me and give
The
me
other,
everything you got,
yes. The
even
other
the bad stuff, so I know what I need to fix so I can have this good life I've been wanting.
I was in a readings party the other night, and I had my card, so I flipped the card, and I just went, "Where's the alcohol come in?" And he was like, "Oh shit."
Uh-huh. Yeah, when you get to shit like that, yeah.
I was like, "I'm not judging you. I'm just telling you they called you out."
They do, they will. I'll be like, you know, okay, are you smoking cigarettes? And they're like,
How about
yeah,
that diet soda you've been chugging? They will call that
they
shit out.
will. They really will. They
Like,
just, it's like,
and so I know food addiction like the back of my hand, and so that one comes up for me. I'm like, oh,
and that's the thing is I get a lot of those things that I definitely will work through. Yeah, it's almost like, oh, just like you can, when you spot it, you got it. It's kind of that
it
thing.
is.
It's just stronger because there's a psychic information that comes with it. It's this whole, oh, you've been trying to quit for 3 months and that didn't, it's like this tangled web. And then they just feel like, oh, but people who come to us really want that. Most of them really want that.
But here's the why Chrystopher and I are different, and also great psychic and mediums, is because we've been through some shit in our life. And that stuff is in our vocabulary. It's in my vocabulary. So if spirit wants to tell me something, they're
Yes.
like, remember when you had this problem with this addiction? I'll be like, oh, they're showing me my issue with this. So I want to point out the point when you had a problem with alcohol.
Yeah, and we instantly understand it and know how to guide them to a different way of looking at it, because even though it may not be exactly the same, it activated that in us, and that was what made it more powerful and more meaningful as well.
Yes, that's how I get my information. Like when I bring up examples, it's because spirit is giving me my examples,
Yes.
calling my shit out.
Don't shoot the
So
messenger. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I'm not judging me too, is usually what I say. I'm like, you hear it all the time. I'll be like,
Yeah,
me.
I promise you, I had one of my mentors when I first started doing psychic stuff, besides you, um, what when I first started doing psychic stuff. Look at me, just like when I started my journey as a psychic medium. That was better. Um, he used to say all kinds of things that have stuck with me. Like one of them being, if you're around a bunch of psychics, you'll become more psychic because their third eye energy is. He's very good at explaining those types of things, but he explained what we're talking about in that way, like information coming in that way and calling people out. And he would always say, a lot of times you'll notice your readings are the same one after another for periods of time. They'll be coming and they'll have the same stuff going on. And it's because that's something you need to heal, or something that it's, yes, that the reading, he said, always pay attention to your readings, because if you're truly open and allowing it, the reading is for you too.
Oh, totally. But what I was thinking when you were saying that was sometimes you have the same pattern, like here comes fathers that have died from cancer all in a row. It's just like it syncs up that way too, but not because
Yes,
it's
it does.
for a meaning necessarily, although it could be. But I like that because yes, often I'm like, ooh, they were
We're
just
telling them, Spirit's telling them to say something that we also, because it came through us, it went ding, it clicked because it had to pass through us.
I
So,
often say it too. I'm so open. I'm like, oh, that hit me too. Don't worry, keep going. We're gonna keep going. Because
yes.
that's just how I am. I'm just very playful. Unless the other
Me
person
too.
doesn't, then I can straighten up and get my shit
Yeah,
straight.
no, it can get real serious sometimes. So, whether you're looking for just questions about a relationship or a job or the future, those are definitely questions you can take to a tarot reader. But you're going to get more information from us, because I have had a lot of information come through about jobs, schools, business, finances for clients, and spirit will come in, especially grandparents or aunts who also had their own business or resonated with what I was saying in some way, so wanted to, this person's now coming in, and I can tell that they came in based on the conversation we were having. Like, I have an opinion about that. I own my own business. Let her know she can do it. It's in her.
Typically, people just don't want to hear it from me. They want to hear it from their loved ones.
Yeah. And that always sounds, because then you know that it's not some person saying it. It's
Yeah.
someone who knows from a higher perspective where all this is going. And if I did need to worry, they'd let me know.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Oh man, this is like my baby is mediumship, and I've just learned it so many different ways. So I'm glad we talked about the differences, and also I love how our flows go with the combination. That's just good for me.
Yes. Yes. So I think for some people, choosing a psychic is more up their alley. Maybe it's more direct to the point if they're asking questions about their life. But if you are looking for that and to connect with something, and sometimes just to see what comes through, because we're evidential mediums, because we can prove to you that it's real. So we can.
Yes, we can. Spirit just told me we're doing a mediumship event. I've been planning it like all
Ooh.
day. Actually, me and you, they just told me
Oh, okay,
we're going
cool.
to do an event. Get ready, y'all. We already started planning like
I'm
now.
down.
Spirit just, I mean, it almost popped out of my mess. Chris and I are going to do this. And I was like, we are? That's a brilliant idea. So I'll
I'm
see.
down for it. Yeah, let's do it.
I'm in. It's
Well,
easy.
and that's interesting. I've been doing gallery readings more through Eclipse because of course, for those of you who don't know, I'm the in-house intuitive astrologer here in Atlanta, Georgia at Eclipse over Roswell, a metaphysical center here. And we do Wednesday night astrology classes at 7 p.m. If you'd like to join, you can go to eclipseoverroswell.com. And we do gallery readings now, which is really crazy. So there's 3 of us mediums who are there, and we just take turns going into the audience. Last time we had 50 people. Um, it's it's just crazy because we're doing it once a month. So you can also, I think they're going to have a Zoom option for this coming one on March 20th. So we're doing it on March 20th. I think it's a Saturday night. And right before the spring equinox, it's perfect. And Mercury won't be in retrograde, because when Mercury was retrograde in my last, we did it February 17th or something like that. It was during Mercury's retrograde that we did the last gallery reading. I was saying all this shit. It ended up about being 98% correct. And once we got through the night, and people have written back and validated for me, and I really needed that because it shook me up, because the first one was so good. I was on fire. Okay. The second one, people were just not getting it. And I was just like, why am I getting all these people who don't have any connection to anyone in this room? And then you find out that every single thing I said, someone raises their hand 30 minutes later and was like, I think that was my dad, blah, 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 blah. And then describe your dad, and it's exactly like that. And I realized, well, it's because the information delay, there was that Mercury shit really got in the way. People just weren't getting it at the same time. There was misinformation or miscommunication happening. And man, that threw me off. But then they all later were like, oh yeah, I wasn't just getting nobodies, right? But it was really amazing at the end of the night, because then you realized once they all got that it was that person, whether it was in the moment for me or not, they instantly knew. So whatever happens during them. It's very fun, and I'd be interested to do that with you.
Yeah, we'll do one through Zoom. You guys, we'll get Chris and I are going to set a date. We'll announce it next week. We're going to do what he calls as a gallery event, what I would call as a platform event.
Platform, yeah.
It's just different verbiage. It's all the same, but
Yeah.
I call it platform mediumship. So we will put that together. We'll do a Zoom event. It will be fire. Chris, I'm sure, will gladly give us the link for Eclipse at Roswell so that you can join his class and the gallery reading. Will you tell him that?
Yes, you can go to visiteclipse.as.me/astro to pre-register for any of my astrology classes on Wednesday night. And then, of course, if you go to eclipseoverroswell.com, you'll be able to find that March 20th date. It should say live gallery readings with Christopher and Nicole and Amir. And it's the three of us, and it's really cool doing it with another person because it's not as exhausting for me, and everyone pretty much gets read by the end of the night. Because if some spirit doesn't vibe with me, or I just don't pick up on that information and it comes through them, and a lot of times the three of us would get the same person at the same time, and one of us would just kind of take over, or I would start getting information and they would start saying what I was getting. So I knew that we were all in receptive mode and we were really in one kind of wave, and so I knew to trust it. It's not about me, whatever happens. So these people aren't getting it, and I'm getting validation 30 minutes later, but it was good.
It's good. I love it. I can't wait to do that with you. Okay. Anything else you want to announce this week?
Well, of course, if you'd like to book a reading with me, you can go to my website, www.chrystopherwithayMedium.com. And if you're not already following me on TikTok and Instagram, you absolutely should at the.astromedium, the.astromedium. And of course, subscribe to me on YouTube. You'll find all of our archives from the Chronicle of Chiron from the beginning on YouTube, as well as my weekly cosmic forecasts, which are also here on Soulfire, but they're available on other platforms as well.
Awesome. I'm so excited. I have all of mine in those places too. I love that we're keeping up with that. You all can follow me on any socials at the Jessica Tanselle, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. I have our videos on YouTube. I have an intuitive witch tribe where I have a book club. We're actually reading Anatomy of the Spirit right now. And I throw some little tips and tricks in there along the way, do some meditations and live readings. You can book a session with me at thejessicatanselle.com. I also have my events on there. So I've got some retreats coming up. I have some full moon ceremonies. For those of you in Florida, the next full moon ceremony not the next one, the one after the next one will be in Florida. So March is at
the new moon in Aries.
Full moon in Aries.
Oh, no, it'll be full moon in Libra.
Okay. So this month we'll be in Louisville at Healing Within. Next month we'll be in Clearwater Beach for the full moon ceremony.
Ooh, full moon in Libra. Ooh,
yeah.
wow.
On the beach. So stay tuned for that. You can find the events on my website. If you have any questions, reach out. We would love to help any of you all.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us here for the Chronicles of Chiron, the Lion, the Witch, and the Healer. We love you all. Have a good night.
See you all later.